Hello and welcome to another edition of the Ask Dr. Pickel show. And today I've been asked actually by a few different people to talk about L-carnitine or carnitine. It must be a popular topic right now. So let's do talk about carnitine. I think it's pretty interesting stuff. All right, so you've maybe heard of carnitine. This is an amino acid, and it goes by some different names. There's let's pull them up here. So we've got L-carnitine, we've got acetyl-L-carnitine, and then you might even hear another one called propionyl L-carnitine. And these are the ones you'll see when you read the back of the bottle. And what does all that mean? We'll talk about that here in a minute. The main thing really carnitine is involved in is energy production. It's critical for this. Our bodies have to have energy. We've got to be able to function each day, day in and day out. So we really need energy to keep going. All right. So how does it do that? Well, the great part is it makes it from fats. It transports these fats, whether they're fats that are floating in your bloodstream, fats that are in fat cells. It's going to take those long chain fatty acids, which are fats, and it's going to take them to that area in your cell called the mitochondria, the area that makes energy, and it's going to drop them off and say, here you go, guys, have fun. And then what's going to happen is the oven inside the mitochondria is going to burn these fatty acids to make energy. So this is great in itself. I mean, yeah, to be able to utilize our fats, our fatty acids to make energy rather than having to burn blood sugar, that's a win-win situation here. So let's go a little more about carnitine. So it's used for weight loss, and it's not only used for that. And you'll probably see carnitine or hear about carnitine used a lot in the fitness industry too. They really like this because again, you're making energy, you're helping with endurance. Actually, there's some great studies we're going to talk about that helps with brain health, heart health, liver health. Actually, there's quite a few things that this amino acid is important for. And then when it may be needed the most is people who have liver disease. If your liver's been damaged by alcohol, by a virus like hepatitis, or something else has affected your liver, carnitine potentially could help you out a lot. If you have kidney disease, if you're on dialysis, carnitine could be very helpful for you. Mitochondrial diseases, there's actually different types of mitochondrial diseases, but this can also be extremely helpful for those. And then if there's certain medications though that will hinder or have negative effects on your ability to use carnitine. One of those, like an example, is valproate or valproic acid. You'll have to look up what that medication is. And then also for genetic support, if you know that you have certain genetic SNPs, certain potential issues for gene problems, these three genes carnitine can support them. It's a great cofactor for them, the ACAT gene, the MAT1 gene, and the CBS gene. So some interesting things there. All right. So the form of carnitine is pretty important. So, you look at this and you think, gosh, that's like chemistry class. Forget that stuff. Well, we have L-carnitine and we have acetyl-L-carnitine, and both can be good, but which one is not like the other? Which one is the important one here? Well, acetyl-L-carnitine, and there's a reason that it's going to work better. Number one, it absorbs better, and that's because of this little guy right down here where it says CH3. Yeah, this is a methylation group. This actually helps to activate carnitine so it can cross in or go into your cells, go through the gut, and actually, what we'll talk about next, even cross the blood-brain barrier. So if you're looking for the best form and you look on the back of that bottle, look for acetyl-L-carnitine. All right, because also, like I said, acetyl-L-carnitine is the only one that can get past the blood-brain barrier. That means it can go to the brain to help us out too, to help us make fuel. Lot of brain cells that need energy. If you have mental fatigue, if you have cognitive conditions, dementia, Alzheimer's. This could be very beneficial if you have problems with focus. If you're like, hey, I read a book and I can't keep my eyes open. These can be things that can be helped potentially by carnitine. So great stuff for brain energy. All right. And in fact, if you start to look at some of the research on carnitine, you'll even see that, especially if you Google it, you're going to see quite a few different topics there. These are all citations from research papers. And I mean, we've got things like helping with neuroprotection, which protecting the brain, improves aged brain function. I mean, just on and on and on. The list goes on forever of all the research papers that are done with this. In fact, here's a couple that actually relate to the heart and how carnitine helps with the heart, because the heart has a lot more mitochondria in it than your regular cells. Regular cells have about 2,000 mitochondria. Heart cells have about 5,000. So there's a little difference there. So having extra carnitine in the system, especially for the heart, and if you have heart disease, arrhythmia, any type of heart condition, this potentially could be very helpful. All right, let's go on to this. So the next question here with carnitine is, how much do you take? Remember the form that I was talking about called acetyl-L-carnitine. That's probably what I would recommend. And a lot of times when you get, I like it in a powder form. I mean, you can get it in a capsule, but I just like it in the powder. And usually that powder will have a little scoop with it. And each scoop, there's a little tiny scoop, but it's about 3 grams in a scoop. And you can do this once or twice a day. A lot of times they'll recommend twice a day, especially starting out, or especially for certain conditions. And if you do that, I would tend to do it morning and night. And then I tend to just mix it with water. Some people actually put it like in their shakes. It actually has a little bit of a bitter taste, so I don't like it to ruin my shake. So, but definitely just mix it with water, shoot it down, pretty easy. The only place you can find it really is in meat. So, if you're a meat eater, especially red meat, then yeah, you're going to get some extra carnitine, hopefully, as long as your digestive tract is working well. That's the problem, is a lot of people who need carnitine and who have these health issues, their gut's inflamed, they're not absorbing protein well. So, and especially as we age, as time goes by, we don't absorb as well either, and our muscles don't tend to carry as much L-carnitine. That's why it's in meat, because it's stored in muscle. So again, we want to get some of that in there. But yeah, and then you can also find in some dairy, and I'm not a big recommender of that. And this would be a problem though if you are a vegan or you're a heavy vegetarian. Yeah, you may actually notice a difference when you take the L-carnitine, because you may be fairly depleted in that. All right, so L-carnitine, I do feel is really good stuff. I definitely recommend it for certain conditions, certain patients. It's easy to take, and it's easy to get. And it's not like, I would say be careful on some. I mean, there's a lot of marketing out there in the fitness industry for carnitine, and they have these really expensive kind, cheap kind. Yeah, I mean, you got to watch on the fillers and binders and all the junk they put in there. I mean, just try to get as straight of a acetyl-L-carnitine as you can, and it doesn't have to be anything super fancy. So, all right. Well, hopefully everybody enjoyed today's video, and God bless, and I will see you on the next one.